Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome in this daily Hindu analysis video. In the morning these videos come, in the evening PI videos come. Don't leave any lesson, and the PDF you will get on the Telegram channel, and on the last page of the PDF you will get my Facebook groups link, and there I have given my Telegram links channels link also. So let's move forward. Huge paper today and many articles, many data. So we will move fast, and motivation is not needed. Time is very less. 18th of March has come so fast. The days are going on now. MCQ 1. IIT Kharagpur, it has signed an MOU with the Center for Development of Advanced Computing, CDAC. Look some information regarding this CDAC, very important institution. And this petaflop is a kind of a parameter. It's a kind of a unit where the mathematical calculation which is done by these computing machines, and the frequency of this calculation, that is counted. And petaflop is actually a unit of super speed of these supercomputers. And about the National Supercomputing Mission, it came in 2015 and steered jointly by Department of Science and Technology, which is under Ministry of Science and Technology, and the Department of Electronics and Information Technology, DIT. If you remember, 3 years back the DIT was created as a separate ministry. Okay, so now it has become the MIT. So department is there, but it's a ministry also. So they both are steering this National Supercomputing Mission. Best solution, new age solutions which can be given by supercomputers only, because it is the age of IR4 4.0, and Industrial Revolution 4.0 means artificial intelligence, data analytics, and machine learning, everything and everywhere. Supercomputers are the prime need. We have been improving very fast in this area, but we are not a good match for those developed countries like Japan, China, and America and all. So IIT Kharagpur is the new partner here. Next, Smart India Hackathon. You see, hardware and software, two things are there. This software version is going on for this Smart India Hackathon, started in 2017 and organized by Ministry of HRD through AICTE institution. You see, this AICTE is All India Council for Technical Education. It gives this ratings to these technical colleges and all. So engineering colleges. So Ministry of HRD is the right answer here, and it is providing new age solutions. It's a kind of a great innovation ecosystem, and problems are given to these groups of students and academicians, entrepreneurs, ministries, state departments. They all are submitting their problems this year, and they are finding solutions there. So very important. Next, Sirsi Supari. Answer is Karnataka, because in Uttar Kannada district, this Sirsi Supari you will find, and it has got the GI tag, and it is the first product under the Areca nut category. So very important, and many things are getting GI tag now. Yesterday we learned about the erode turmeric, and before that a jaggery from Kerala. So three important things. Next, Australian capital tops the Mercer's index of most livable cities. This is wrong. You see, if you have gone through this particular information and your observation was not keen, then you would make a mistake here, because it is Australian capital, and the right answer is Austrian capital. Austrian capital Vienna is the right answer. Vienna has been topping this list for the last 10 years. Okay, and Australia's capital, that is Canberra. That is a different city, and it's a shameful thing that among these cities, even in top 100, we are not appearing anywhere. Chennai is the best city among India's livable cities, and its rank is 105, not 5. So both the statements are wrong. And you see, the Mercer's index, it also talks about the safety ranking, and according to the safety ranking, Luxembourg, which is a very small country and city also, so it's at the top, and Bern, Switzerland, Helsinki, capital of Finland, and Zurich in Switzerland, these are at number 2 combinedly. Okay, so these are important indexes. One more important index is there, that Global Livable Cities Index, and there also Vienna is at the top for the last 2 years. Before that, Melbourne from Australia, that was topping this list for many years. Okay, I'm talking about this global livable cities index, and this is Mercer's index of most livable cities. So two important indexes. You can see it is Vienna, Austria's capital Vienna, and this is Melbourne city. Many pictures are given for all these cities, and we need to improve at a lot of areas. Otherwise, you can see the real situation. We are claiming that we have become the 6th largest nation, but the condition of our cities, and one more article is also there regarding our cities. Two articles especially. Next question: National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct, NGRBC. By revising the National Voluntary Guidelines on Social, Environmental and Economic Responsibilities of Business 2011. You see, these guidelines came in 2011. Now they are being replaced by NGRBC. And they are being formulated by Ministry of Corporate Affairs, not Commerce and Industry. Don't confuse between these two ministries, almost similar names. So Corporate Affairs, because it is dealing with these companies, MNCs and all, and they are replacing these particular guidelines of 2011. These were voluntary guidelines, and now these are going to be mandatory one. Now about the articles. This article we are not going to discuss, but it is very important for the SS section, so you should go through this article once. Okay, so this article we are going to discuss, it is debunking the myth about Nehru and the allegation which is being put up on him as he actually hindered India's options where we could become the permanent member of this Security Council, but he blocked our entry. This is a lie and this is not true. So he is explaining this particular myth, and it is going to be important for GS paper 2. Lapse and collapse, again a very important article on a comment on India's cities and its conditions, important for GS paper 2. We are going to discuss. And about this article, Christchurch massacre, a very unfortunate incident happened, and 49 people were killed by a person. He shot them all, and what he did, he actually aired this on social media. He was live on social media, on Facebook, on some other website, and on a blog, and he was showing the word that how I'm killing these people. And it is really dangerous. It's a really scary issue what this word is up to, and how we are channeling our frustration. And he was a 27-year-old person. You see, jobless person, and following aggressive ideologies, Nazi Germany's ideology, Trump supporter, means everything is extreme here, and against Muslims the person was, and he shot them all, and he entered the building and he was killing all these people. Again and again he was coming back and he was shooting every person so that nobody is left alive. This particular incident is a iconic incident that is explaining the change in this world, the change in the situation, psychological situation of this world, and how people are thinking these days, what kind of problems are there with the youth especially, and especially the vulnerable youth whose minds are not mature, and how the extreme ideologies are replacing their good thoughts in their mind. This is iconic situation. Now we can connect this situation to India also. India, a young nation, 65% population is youth, but job crisis. We are aspiring for demographic dividend, but these people, if are not skilled, and after being skilled, they are not given jobs, then what they are going to do? Their empty minds, what they are going to do? They will be involved in mob lynching. They will go towards terrorist activities, because whatever is there in their life, that is all frustration. Without a job, without a managed life, they cannot organize their thoughts. They don't have that capacity. They don't have that experience. They don't have that maturity. What they are going to do, how they are going to deal with these negative things, is in these negativities. And country like India, poor country, pressure from parents, pressure from peer groups, and the very much a problematic psychological situation socially. ego conflicts, and the disparities and the inequality in the society. Suppose a condition of an unemployed youth of 25 years of age and any other person who is a rich person, as we know 1% people are holding 60% of the wealth. He is traveling by this on the road, and by the side this person is walking in all frustrated mind, and nobody is caring about his life, and totally insulted. He is totally vulnerable. Why we are making the youth of this world more and more vulnerable? Inequality, you see the condition of inequality. 1% people are having 50 to 60% wealth, and what about others? What they are going to do? They will live and they will have their minds, but what about their minds? It is all minds that are being corrupt today, and it is very likely that many people would be very much vulnerable. I'm not saying this is a justified thing. This is never a justified thing. But you see the condition that how many people can live a principled life, a particular struggling life. Some of them are so weak that they won't be able to struggle. If anybody would give them a gun in their hand, they will kill many people like this. Because it is all channeling of your frustration, your extreme level of negative energy which is there inside you. And these people can easily be exploited by these smart people who can understand their situation. So it is the responsibility of the society, of the government, of the civil society groups and the cultural groups. They need to check this thing every day, every moment, that this kind of energy is not being filled up in these youth, in these young minds. Otherwise, the whole society, the whole nation, whole world would be extremely vulnerable, and these kind of incidents would be common. As the inequality is rising, you should be sure about this thing, that these kind of incidents are going to happen, because some of the people, they would be so weak, they won't be able to manage their negativity, and somebody would exploit them like this. Because the person who is killing these people like this, he doesn't know what he is doing. He is some kind of a fit. He is some kind of a uncontrolled wave of anger. So it's a very scary situation, and the condition of a country like India, you cannot imagine what can be possible here. It can be a demographic disaster if we do not pay attention to these problems: inequality, unemployment, and the agrarian crisis, and all these kind of things. Why these mob lynchings are happening? You see, there is a great similarity between these mob lynching incidents and this killing spree by a person. He is a shattered personality, a person who has become mad, a psychotic personality. But what led him to do that? Why he became vulnerable? And obviously, some people are vulnerable for sure. Some people are weak for sure. Not everybody is at the same level of understanding, same level of mental control. Some people are really vulnerable, and that is why, looking at these people, we should be careful. We should not appreciate extreme ideologies, and that is why right-wing ideological rise is really a thing to think over, and we need to manage that kind of extremism in the society. Otherwise, these vulnerable people, which are always there as some percentage of the population, they can be a real danger for the society. And that is why peace should be appreciated. If somebody is provoking you to solve a problem by aggression, to quell a fear by appreciating aggression and violence, then certainly that person is an evil person. That party is an evil party. That group is an evil group. So we need to identify all these people, and we should always appreciate peace. Otherwise, this thing is proved that why Gandhi is important, because he appreciated peace, and peace is not optional. This is the first mandatory thing in this world, because there can be no solution by guns. We have fought many wars, world wars, but what was the end of it? Cries, pains, and everything. And these kind of things, these are a different kind of a war. It's a war with ourselves, with our mind, with our behaviors, with our instincts, with our responses. So that is why this is extremely important a thing, and the whole world, whole people, and especially you people who are aspiring for this much prestigious position in your life. You want to become a UPSC selected person, then you should be clear about these thoughts. There should be a balance, there should be a extreme level of maturity regarding these issues, because you will have to deal with these situations. Now the words that I found, try them into sentences. And lapse and collapse, it's a situation showing a mirror to our cities. You see, what is the biggest pressure in India? If something is there in the media, then people, mainly these ruling authorities and all, they would care. Otherwise things would pass on like this. If some kind of a protest is there, then certainly if it is appearing in the media debates, then they will address it. Incident happened in September 17. Things ran on prime time news debates for 2-3 days. After that, it was replaced by some other provoking information, and this is how we forgot about the Elphinstone bridge collapse. Now again in the same city, again incident happened, foot-over bridge collapsed and 6 people died. That time 23 people died, this time 6 people died. It is not about the number of dead people, it is about the ignorance and the extreme level of apathy. We are not ready to care about the common people. We are not ready to accept this thing that the poor people are dying because of ignorance. The official, according to the data, official gave a particular thumbs up to this bridge, that it is okay, there is no problem. And last time we gave this excuse that the rains were there and it was very tragic and many people were there on the bridge, that's why that collapsed. But this time there was no rains and not many people were there, but that collapsed. Means that was extreme level of apathy and ignorance by the authorities. And these cities, you see, 60% of GDP is coming from the cities, but the huge budget of these municipal corporations and all, how they are managing these situations, extreme level of corruption is there. And every season, whether it's rains, whether it's flooding, every time these municipal bodies and their exposed ignorances, their apathy towards work, responsibilities, they are always exposed. So what we need to do now, we need to question the authorities, and these are the real questions we need to ask in the elections. Mandir Masjid is not the issue. This is a foolish propaganda. These are the real issues where we need to focus, where we need to question all the authorities. Whichever party is there, we need to ask questions there, and we need to seriously take these steps. And one thing that is missing, that is a concern for poor people, for average people. We should care if even a single person dies, but we don't care. That is why these things are happening regularly, and these things happen, we shift blames, we suspend some person, and that is over, and we leave these things for the future, maybe for the next season if it is rains or something like that. Then these are things. And now we just saw in the Mercer's index, not even 100 cities, top 100 cities, are any of the city is appearing. Chennai is at 105. What about Bombay? It is the economic capital of India, and the budget is in thousands of crores of rupees, 30,692 crore rupees budget. And the condition of these bridges, you see, these are not new bridges, these are old bridges. These were built by Britishers in the colonial times. That means we need to regularly check these things, these dams, these bridges, these important old buildings. But what about our quality assurances? What about our quality checks? What we are doing, are these things not visible to us? That means there is extreme level of apathy, and these people and all these governing bodies and the people who are wielding these authorities, they should be condemned here, and they should be put behind the bars, because otherwise this thing is not gonna be solved, and we would live a life in extreme level of fear that we don't know which bridge is going to collapse, and where we would be buried under that, and which overbridge is going to collapse, in which season we are going to be flooded, and we would die because of some kind of road collapse accident or something like that. So first thing that is needed, that is the concern that we should take, and that is totally missing from these authorities. People are totally aiming votes every time. They are aiming power, they are aiming luxury, wealth. Whoever gets power, he aims for that, but they always leave the poor people behind. They never think about them. So this is the behavioral issue. This is not the systematic issue. This is not a problem of our planning or our working. Our working is wrong because there is apathy, there is no concern. So first thing we need that, because it has come to that level where we need to talk about the intention. What is your intention? Do you want something good here or not? So this is that example. Next article regarding the Nehru China and the Security Council seat. You see, in the multipolar world today, things are extremely different, but the situation was totally different in the time of Cold War. USA and USSR, two poles were there. USSR's socialistic ideology and communist ideology. China was the closest partner. China was following the same ideological way. So they were on a good equation, and USA was a staunch enemy of USSR. They were ready to nuke each other at that time. So USA would never want to support China or never want to see China on the Permanent Security Council. But you see that happened, and under P5 country, USSR and USA and China was also there, apart from France and UK. So it was a kind of a rule there that UN Charter was there, and according to the Charter, these 5 countries were given the permanent seat. Any change in that particular seat would demand a change in the UN Charter, and there comes the issue of vetoing. If there would be any change in the charter, then China would veto that. Nehru knew about this thing. Okay, so he knew that technically this thing is hardly possible. But Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit, she was the ambassador for India in USA, and she was intimated by US authorities once, but that was not totally official, and that proposal never came to Nehru officially. That is the truth, that Nehru announced in Lok Sabha openly that there is no official proposal, but that intimation to the Indian ambassador was there, that if we replace China and if we put India there on the Security Council, what would that be? But that was not the actual intention of USA. Actual intention, actual aim of the country of USA was that India should come under this particular pole, USA's pole, because India was going with the non-aligned policy, and that was really vital. That was extremely important at that time. Without non-aligned policy, we would not continue our position internationally. Nehru knew that, because they both were fighting with each other, and it was a total fight of resources or inclination, and trade wars. Everything was bipolar in that world, and we proposed this idea of a non-alignment, and that became a vital support for us, because otherwise there were many points where we would not exist as a country, as this thing was said by Britishers, that this country can never survive. So at that time it was a challenge to make this country surviving, and that became a possible, and that was the biggest goal at that time, because any kind of foolishness, any kind of mistake would not spare us. That thing Nehru knew at that time. So that is why many people internationally also, they always called him a statesman. But you see, today the things are totally different. Nehru has been hailed as the main culprit of all the problems which India has today. He has become the icon of all kinds of failures of India as a nation. and the ruling party is exploiting this particular thing, and they are spreading everything negative about Nehru. Openly they are doing that. Now one minister, he said this thing openly, that Nehru blocked our entry into Security Council, and that thing is a lie. So openly now lies are being spread. And why this is a lie? As I told you, it was not the official proposal, and till date this thing never came. But this thing came in a sequence where Nehru has been maligned by a particular group, a particular ideological group, where they never wanted to see Nehru as an important personality. So they raised Patel first as a parallel, instead of Patel being a congressman, and after that these things came. So this thing has become very, very controversial. They talk about some personal issues of Nehru and all. So all these things make a background of this situation where Nehru is the target, and whoever is a supporter of Nehruvian ideology is being targeted here openly. So that is the problem. And you see, now the myth is being debunked by the writer. He says that as I told you, the veto would have been used by China if any kind of change was there in the UN Charter. If they are going to replace China, then China would counter that. That was for sure. And Nehru knew about this thing, that we will not get the permanent seat there, and we would raise a great level of enmity between India and USSR and India and China. Okay, USSR became the most beneficial country for us internationally after that phase, after the Nehru age, because in 1971 that thing was proved that out of USSR's help only we could win the war, and Bangladesh could be created, and we could defeat Pakistan. Otherwise maybe this thing was very, very difficult. But USSR helped us always, and always internationally USSR helped us internationally, whether it was Kashmir issue or it was that nuclear trials issue. He always USSR always supported us. Now see, the condition of China is different, but till 62 we were not that much at odds with China, and we were going on. Things became critical in 1962. The Dalai Lama issue was there, so that was a different one. But you see, the condition was totally different than the things which are here today. We are a established country, a very powerful country. At that time we were a kind of a very frail state, and we needed to go in a very cautious way. Any kind of move, we had to calibrate, we had to balance out. Otherwise everything would have become very fatal for us as a nation. So this is the thing, and that is why it is said by writer that we chose, that we would not appreciate this move. And in Lok Sabha, Nehru announced that there has not been any official proposal. And now after 60 years, this thing is perfectly clear that USSR was a better ally for us. If this would have been USA there, then there would have been no guarantee that it would have supported us like USSR did. And many battles we survived, and we defeated Pakistan many times, and it was all Russia's help there. Okay, Russia, USSR has become today, but it was USSR at that time. So we could not afford to go in any kind of poll, and USSR actually supported that non-alignment policy of us, but America wanted us towards its side. So it was in a way against this non-alignment policy, and Russia respected that, and it has been proved now that it remained as a loyal partner for us. So that is why, if we would have gone with USA, that would have never become beneficial. But that was the condition when we would have given the real permanent membership there, but that was not possible, because technically it was in a way impossible at that time. And America was ready to nuke any Asian country at that age, because in 1945 only it dropped these nuclear bombs on Japan. After that there was no nuclear deterrence at that time. These international bodies, institutions were not there. to stop this menace, and it could have nuked again any Asian country. So that is the reason that it wanted India at its side, because it wanted one more Asian nation to counter USSR and China. So that was the proposal, but in reality what would have been, that was a different thing, and officially they never sent a proposal for us, and they never ready to change the charter also. So that is why it's a myth and it's a lie that is being spread by highest level of authorities today. Okay, and this is all given in this particular article. Next, these points are all highlighted here and you will get in the PDF, and it was September 1955 when Nehru announced about this particular issue. Okay, so you can read the text here. Whatever is given I have explained to you. Now in this particular article the writer says that about the India's economic commentary. He is saying that India's economic commentary today carries a blind man and an elephant's risk. That means there is surely a mismatch, and in all this period what we saw, newer and newer things are coming, newer and newer commentaries are coming, and they are making different kinds of claims. Now the new thing is that there is not a problem of jobs in this country, there is a problem of wages. Writer actually criticized this particular thing, and that is being said by the government, that there is a crisis of wages and it's not the jobs. And you see some shameful comments came from even a minister in a conclave, that he said that there are so many jobs that it's hard to find people for that. Means they are kind of mocking this job crisis in the country. And first thing, the foremost thing is that they are not ready to accept this thing, that there is a job crisis in this country, and they are mocking it with different words. And this thing is very sad that we need to say this thing today, that they are mocking our crisis. Why? Because you see, when they talked about these pakoras and all, the writer says that if so many people are ready to sell pakoras, they all are sellers, and demand is less, then obviously these people, their wages, they would go down. So if only problem is there of the wages, that means it's a problem of labor policy failure, and labor unions and all, they should do all these protests to raise these wages. But that is not the real crisis. Real crisis is that vacancies are not there. We are not able to create these jobs. We are going on with the jobless growth. We are not creating new jobs here. You suppose a condition where 50,000 rupees is the salary of a teacher, but instead of that one post, we are ready to recruit 5 people, and we would pay them 10,000 rupees a month. Government says, and this is not only about this government, the previous government also, they said that we are recruiting 5 people instead of that, and here 5 people are getting employment. But do you call it an employment? No, it is not employment, because the minimum salary that it would need, that is way more than 10,000 rupees. And here you are ruining 5 people's lives, because this is not a real employment. This is taking advantage of their poor condition. And here you need to create 5 jobs here, but you are only able to create 1 job here. And that is why many people are applying, and when this salary is distributed between these people, that means obviously the wages, they will go down, because many people are there and vacancies are very less. So this is not the problem of wages. It is not the wages which are going on as a crisis. This is the problem of vacancy. This is the problem of jobs that we are not able to create, and we are not ready to accept this fact. That is why we are spreading these kind of arguments that there is no job crisis, there is a problem of wages in this country, and they are not able to defend this particular argument. Why? Because if any confusion would be there, any kind of statistical problem would be there, then what you would do? You would go for datas. That datas would prove everything. Everything would be crystal clear with the datas. So the next problem is there are no datas. we are not releasing the labor bureau's data, we are giving EPFO's data, which are not much reliable, because it is about the registration. Maybe these people are leaving jobs after that, and their registrations would remain, because PF registrations, that does not end after you leave the job. You get a new job, and the same number goes on. So the EPFO data is not reliable for the actual job situation in the country. The labor bureau's data is much more important, because it is NSSO's data, but you are not releasing that. You are not releasing data, you are not giving actual picture, you are not giving actual statistics, and then you are giving these kind of arguments which can never be proved. So this is the real trouble, and this is the mocking, and that is why writer says that first thing is that we need to address that there is a job crisis. This is the first need, and nothing can be more shameful than that. That you are not even accepting the problem. Then how you are going to make policies, how you are going to take right decisions about the problem. First you identify the problem, then you go for the solutions, but you are not ready to identify the problem. So this is the thing that is given in this article, and rest of the matter we would take tomorrow, because there is some scheduling issues and I'm going late today. So thanks a lot, keep watching, and some things which are left we will take later, because it's a huge newspaper and all these informations are very important. Thanks a lot.